Literally count the books that I've cried over on one hand. That's a convenient length for a video. I stress cry, angry cry, movie cry, show cry, triggered very easily. However, I'm not a book crier, and I ended up being like really proud of that for a while. Then I hit high school. The very first book that ever made me cry, New Moon. Quick refresher on New Moon. Edward realizes like, I'm a vampire. This is actually probably not good. Maybe it's a little bit dangerous. Realizes like, you know, the best way to deal with this would be by abandoning her in the middle of the woods. She gets in this like very deep depression, and I can show you the exact page. I can actually show you the exact word. It's right here. This is what got me. And then I turned the page one more time, and I just lost it. So this is just to kind of like represent, oh, and then there's one more one. This is just to represent how like she was just like pretty much catatonic. I remember being on my parents' couch, reading the book over the head, and then just like realizing that the month thing happened, and then it collapsed, and I just started bawling. I mean, looking back, adult now, what was she thinking? But at the time, when I was a sophomore in high school, I read that, I lost it. I lost it so hard. So then we have the second book that has ever made me cry. And this one actually took me a little bit by surprise because I saw the movie first and it was sad, but like I didn't actually cry from the movie, so I thought I was safe with the book. Plus, like, high school Miranda, not a crier when it came to books. Nicholas Sparks' The Notebook. And the thing was, like, I knew what was happening, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be a little bit sad, I'll get it. No. I was like, I was supposed to be getting ready to go out with the folks, some sort of high school thing, and I was on my mother's bed, and I was just kind of like going through, reading it. I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get to the, and then the sad part happened. And it was like the scene where she gets her memory back temporarily because she loves him so much. Like, I just remember like reading it and then like having to like look up into the sky, blink away tears, and then, so I could go back to reading that page. My eyes were like overflowing because I was just so like emotionally moved by that scene. Have I ever read this book again? No. No. I have definitely not risked reading this one again. The next book. This one was like a book to read when you wanted to cry. Crying forward book. You knew it was going to happen. The Fault in Our Stars. And I saw the movie again, and the movie did make me tear up, but I didn't actually cry. It's like, it's one of those teen books where they're both terminally ill and they find love, and it's just like this big beautiful moment for them. And I remember reading this book the first time through and like just rolling my eyes. So much you knew where it was going, and I was just like, And then we get to the last few pages, and it was like a switch. Waterworks. It got me. And I remember being so mad at myself. I knew where this book was going. I knew not to be like tricked. I knew, but it got me. And this one was towards the beginning of college where I read this book. And then it was like quite a few years before I really had anything that like got me again. The most recent ones actually came this year, 2 of them. A lot of the times I kind of know like if I'm going to get emotional about a book. This one completely took me by surprise. Tomorrow Will Be Different by Sarah McBride. So if you have not read this one, I highly, highly recommend it. It was sent to me by Crown Archetype, and this book focuses on Sarah McBride, and she is a trans woman. She fought for various qualities for the trans and the LGBTQ plus community. And I've read a few books, not quite like this one, but I've read a few similar books where it kind of chronicles a movement, you get a happy ending, and like I thought I knew what I could expect. And honestly, going in, I thought it was going to be pretty dry. No. There was so much heart and so much soul put into this book. And I was reading this on the bus as I go to second college. It takes a lot to make me cry from a book. So imagine that like in a public place. I don't want to give too much away, but suffice to say, Sarah finds love in a trans man. Her husband ends up having a terminal illness, and she talks her way through it. And there's not enough words to really describe like how I just felt punched to the gut. How I just had to like try not to bawl in public. I got looks because I wasn't really succeeding. It was a beautiful book. It was, if you've not read it, I cannot recommend this one enough. The next one happened last week. Again, it took me by surprise for Michelle Obama's Becoming. And this was very much a memoir, a little bit of an autobiography where she talked about childhood up until the end of Barack's presidency, and kind of like what was happening in her life and what her thoughts and her feelings were about each stage of her life. And if you've not read this one, just go and pick it up. Like, I cannot imagine a more perfect book. I was also very surprised because this is an audiobook, and I listen to a ton of audiobooks every single year. And I really didn't think that I would be affected by an audiobook, just because like it's something that I do while I'm doing other things. There's a lot of kind of like distractions going around, so I'm never like really like focused 100%. So the part that made me bawl like a child, there's actually a few parts in here. The first one was when she talked about her father and how her father was the breadwinner of the family. And she got to the part where she started noticing that something was wrong with her dad, and how he just kind of got progressively worse, and how there was really nothing she could do. I'm very blessed to still have my father, but just kind of like putting myself in her shoes, it got me. I was crying. The second part was she was talking about gang violence in her Chicago city. So Michelle Obama recounts and mourns a slain teenager, a girl that she never met, and it is a girl who died of gang violence. And just Michelle Obama spoke about it in just such a moving way about like how tragic and horrific and horrifying and incredibly sad it is that that poor girl passed away. And I remember just like as I'm listening to this, I'm doing my grocery shopping, by the way. So I'm just kind of like, you know, pushing my cart, grabbing my groceries, figuring out what I'm going to do for meals for the week. And that part comes up on the audiobook. I started crying in the middle of a grocery store. Tears down my cheeks. Kind of like pretending to like bury myself in like the cereal, like trying to hide the fact that I am like listening to my audiobook and crying in the grocery. I don't think anyone really like noticed me. The whole book actually was just so really wonderfully done. I had no idea how much Michelle Obama was doing background essentially. We were blessed to have Michelle Obama as the First Lady. And if you disagree, you really should check out the book. So that's it. That's my top 5/only 5 books that have made me cry. I hope you like them. Honestly, I'm really curious what books got to you. Put it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.